Hi, welcome back to Mindful Serenity Yoga, and we're going to continue with our loving kindness meditation or mindfulness practice. The first two practices were either directed towards ourselves or directed towards a special loved one. The third practice, we're going to direct our intentions and our wishes towards the world at large, but especially towards those who may have somehow wronged us, or we're feeling that we're holding a grudge against, or we're finding difficult to actually have loving kindness towards. If we can learn to develop loving kindness towards individuals and things and systems and situations that we once resisted, then we'll find that we are more able to find loving kindness in its most natural form and essence. So the third component then is loving kindness towards the world at large, but especially towards those individuals or systems or circumstances or things that we may have resisted in the past or found anything but loving kindness towards. So I want you to think of something right now before we go on any further. Just think of someone or something that you're holding a grudge towards, or you're finding difficult to forgive or accept, or finding difficult to be loving and kind towards. Okay, I didn't give you much time, but hopefully that usually doesn't take much time. We're usually quite aware of who and what we are resisting. So once again, this practice is going to be threefold. We're going to do the guided meditation in a minute. We're also going to touch the earth like we've done in the other two videos, touching it 5 times. For the first time, we touch in reverence of our ancestry, our biological ancestry, our bloodline, our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents and all those who have passed on before us in our own lineage. We're going to have reverence for them because whatever they are and were, we still carry with us both in the biological form and in the karmic form. Secondly, we are going to touch the earth in reverence for a more broadened sense of ancestry, all human beings who've walked the planet, all matter, all animals or sentient beings that have somehow been transposed into us over the years and are part of our biological makeup as well as our karmic makeup. Thirdly, we're going to touch the earth in reverence for those ascended beings who were able, through mindfulness practice, through a sense of if you want to use the word spirit or the essence of it. We're going to think of the soil and the trees and the water and the air and the molecules and the microorganisms and every living thing, all matter, in appreciation for it, in reverence for it, and seeing ourselves connected to it, for whatever is out there is somehow in here, within our biological makeup as well as our karmic makeup. Fifthly, we are going to touch the earth in asking for forgiveness for what we have done to the earth and to the planet and to this human race, what our part is, our ancestry part is, in maybe not helping it and hurting it more than helping it. We're asking forgiveness for those times that we trespassed against the earth. We're also using it, and this is what comes into this meditation especially, to help us forgive those who have trespassed against us, as the Lord's Prayer says. We are going to try to think of individuals who have harmed us or who seemingly have harmed us and learn to value them, learn to see the goodness in them, learn to see that the roots of their own acting out comes from their own sense of suffering and dukkha, and we'll feel compassion and loving kindness towards them. So we're asking for not only to be forgiven for those that we've hurt and for the earth that we've hurt, but to be to help us forgive what we're having a hard time forgiving. So that's the 5th time we touch the earth. So we're going to do a guided meditation practice, directing our attention towards those individuals we may find we're having a hard time being loving and kind towards, and to the world at large. We are then going to touch the earth. And thirdly, we're going to try to make amends in our own minds by truly finding a sense of compassion towards those we have a hard time having kindness for. First of all, recognize that they themselves are probably suffering from their own level of unconsciousness, from their level of misunderstanding, from their own level of pain, and they're acting out upon others because of that pain, or they're not being very kind and loving on the outward because of their own pain is blocking their samskaras and blocking them from being who they truly are on the inside, trying to see beyond what we have experienced because of their behavior and choices to the human being, to the essence of who they are, and learning to forgive those things that they have done, knowing that they know not what they do, as Christ said. What we're going to do then is focus on that, trying to find the roots of their own suffering, recognize their own suffering in those individuals so that we can be compassionate towards them. One thing that helps me in this exercise, if I think of the individual as an innocent child prior to maybe being damaged by whatever happened to them, to the point where they were acting out and hurting others, or unconsciously being less than loving and kind towards us or other individuals. So it helps sometimes to envision these people as innocent as possible, because we all have innocence within us. Who we truly are is innocent. It's just our little me's that have somehow, because of their own brokenness, have maybe acted out upon the world or on other individuals in a less than wholesome way. So we're going to try to imagine them as children in their innocent states as we do this exercise, okay? And hopefully that will help. And I want you, or Thich Nhat Hanh wants you to think of 5 redeeming qualities of this individual or this system or this situation that you're having a hard time accepting with love and kindness. So you want to think of 5 qualities, and all things have qualities, all things have potential. So we are looking at that as well. And that will be the 3rd part of this exercise. So we're doing the guided meditation, which I'll do in a minute. We're going to touch the earth 5 times, as we've done in the previous videos. And we're going to look at these individuals we have a hard time being loving and kind towards, and seeing beyond their behaviors or the things that they've done or didn't do that have somehow harmed us, or that we are finding it hard to forgive or accept, and see the innocence within them as we also look for 5 redeeming qualities. So that's a practice for today. And we're going to start once again with our loving kindness guided meditation. So once again, I'm using a mala, and you do not have to use a mala. You can, just hold your hands, backs of your hands on your laps with the palms facing upward. And you can simply breathe, being aware of every in-breath without forcing or controlling the breath. And every out-breath, also noticing the pause between the in and the out, and the pause between the out and the in. And we will focus on that so that we can continue with this practice and finish our loving kindness meditation or mindfulness practice. So the mala, again, has this lotus flower, which is very significant in reminding us of suffering. How the lotus flower grows in mud, we can grow and transcend suffering and become better people because of our challenges. So mindfulness is one way of helping us to transcend, being mindful of suffering that is happening in us and around us, to the individuals we love and to those individuals we're having a hard time loving, and to the world at large, as well as to ourselves. So this is again a good reminder of that. Some beads, garlands, or mala garlands, like I said, will have a guru bead on top of the lotus flower, making it 109 beads instead of 108. If you're using a mala and you do have a guru bead, this will be your 2nd intentional breath. So we are going to take 2 intentional breaths, full breaths, as we hold onto the lotus flower, the 2nd one as we hold onto the guru bead. And if you don't have a guru bead, you'll do 2 intentional breaths holding onto the lotus flower. If you have a mala, if you don't have a mala, you're just going to take 2 intentional breaths. Once we get to the 108, it's just a matter of feeling the beads in between your fingers, between your thumb and your finger. On the in-breath, you're going to be aware of that sensation, as well as the belly rising as the air comes in, and you're just being very mindful that when you're breathing in, you're breathing in. You will notice a natural pause between the in-breath and the out-breath, as there is a little rope between the first beat and the second beat, between every beat. That's just to help remind you of your natural pause. Not that we're forcing the pause or extending the pause. We're just naturally observing its natural rate and rhythm. Then on the second beat or the next beat, we move to the out breath. Again, as we breathe out, we're feeling the belly descend. We're feeling the sensation of the mala beads in between our fingers and our thumbs. And then again, when you're ready to move on to the next in-breath, we are reaching for the third bead, after noticing the pause that exists between the out and the in. As we take a breath in, we're going to notice the belly expand. As we take a breath out, we're going to notice the belly descend. And we're just going to notice those natural pauses between the in and the out and the out and the in breath. All breath is circular, like life is circular, like this is circular. So we breathe in, we breathe out, we breathe in, we breathe out. We continue a cycle on breath. And without that cycle, we wouldn't be here. So this is also a good reminder of that. So again, we are going to begin. I'll get you to sit in a place where you can be as free from distractions as possible. Again, reminding you that we can't be completely free from life's distractions or outer world distractions. They may come in even during our most quiet spaces. And if you hear interruptions after you've done everything that's within your control to limit those distractions or interruptions, we're going to just allow what comes in to come in, seeing it as part of the practice and not resisting it as an interruption or a disruption, not judging or labeling it, just allowing it and being willing to accept it. But please, you do what you can do to control the quietness and stillness of your space by removing all electronic devices, and except for this, so if you're looking for me to guide you, and try to find a secluded space as much as possible. I'm going to encourage you once again to sit in the chair. Someday we'll move down to the cushion and do it in a cross-legged position, but that itself is a practice that requires some learning and some extra practice to maintain a comfortable position as you're sitting in a cross-legged position. So for now, the chair is wonderful. It keeps you erect but relaxed at the same time, which is what we are intending. So please sit in a chair for now. Feel the sits bones of your body resting on the chair. Sit away from the back so you're not slouching or slumping. Feel your feet, the soles of your feet on the earth. Feel that connection there. Please relax your shoulders away from your ears. And again, when we breathe in, we're going to feel the belly expanding, and we're just being aware of it. And when we breathe out, we're going to feel the belly descending. You can close your eyes, or you can just relax your gaze. That is up to you. So I'm going to get you to begin. We're going to start again with 2 grounding breaths. So I'm holding the lotus flower because I am using a mala. If you don't have a mala, that's okay. We're just going to breathe in intentionally. So we are going to encourage the first 2 breaths for a full breath in and a full breath out, holding onto the lotus flower. Breathing in, we're going to mindfully and quietly count to 4 as the belly expands. We're going to feel that natural pause, and then we're going to exhale for the count of 6, mindfully and mentally only, as the belly descends. Noticing that natural pause. If you have a girdle bead, and if you're using a mala, you'll move your hand to the girdle bead. Inhaling for 4 counts, mindfully and quietly. Noticing the natural pause and exhaling for 6 counts, mindfully and quietly. Trying to breathe in and out through our nose. It's the Beth yogic breath, this into the nose and out through the nose. But if you're finding it difficult, you can breathe into the nose and out through the mouth. We're ready to do our 108 counts. So what I'm going to do is just get you to focus on your breath for the remainder of this mala garland as you move your fingers along the beads. I will say the intentions as we get so far, but I want you to most of all, focus on the breath going in when the breath goes in. Notice the pause. Focus on the breath when the breath goes out, noticing the pause. And do not force or control your breath. Just allow your breath to do what it naturally does. Breathing in on the first bead. Pause and breathing out. Pause. Again, we're just going to allow all noises and interruptions to come in. And out on the fourth bead. So move your fingers along at your own rate and rhythm. One bead for the in-breath, the next bead for the out-breath, noticing the pause between the in and the out-breath, and the pause between the out and the in-breath. Now I want you to envision the whole world, specifically those individuals or that individual or that system or that situation within that world that you have a hard time forgiving, feeling love and kindness towards. As you breathe in and as you breathe out. You can envision if it's a being as a child. You're going to envision as you breathe in and as you breathe out, yourself approaching that individual, that system, that situation in any way that feels comfortable, safe, and natural to you. When you get to the distance that is comfortable and safe and natural, and at the same time open, without any defenses, you will say to that system, that individual, that situation, calling it by name, may you be peaceful and light in body and mind. Continue to be aware of your breath going in when your breath goes in, your breath going out as your breath goes out. May you, again, use the name, be safe and free from accidents. May you, say the name, be free from anger and fear and any of the unwholesome traits. May you, say the name, learn to look at yourself with eyes of love, understanding, and compassion. If you're finding this difficult, and you're still finding that there's some resistance there, you're going to direct some loving kindness to yourself. You're not going to beat yourself up for the resistance you may be experiencing. You're just going to notice it, allow it, put some mindfulness around it, some compassion around it, and allow it to be. As you continue focusing on that individual or that system that you find challenging to love and be kind towards at this moment. May you say the name again. Be able to recognize and touch the seeds of joy and happiness within yourself. May you say the name, be able to nourish yourself with love, joy, every day. Be aware of how your body's feeling as you're saying this. Check in with your contact points, feel the soles of the earth on the floor. As you continue to breathe in, be aware of breathing in. As you continue to breathe out, be aware of breathing out. Feel the contact points of the sits points on the chair, sits bones on the chair. Focusing on those individuals, once again, saying their name. May you learn to live fresh and solid and free. May you cultivate freedom from indifference, attachment, and aversion. We know that indifference, attachment, and aversion are the real cause of suffering. Feel the mala between your fingers as you take your in-breath, belly expanding. Feel the natural pause whenever it comes. Feel the bead, the next bead in your fingers as you exhale, feeling the belly descending. Focusing on these individuals once again, seeing them as innocent children, seeing the innocence in them, saying their name. May you be peaceful and light in body and mind. May you be safe and free from accidents. May you be free from anger, fear, and any of the other unwholesome traits. The unwholesome states of mind. May you know how to look at yourself with eyes of compassion and understanding. May you be able to recognize and touch the seeds of happiness and joy within yourself. May you learn to nourish yourself with joy each day. May you learn to live fresh and solid and free. May you cultivate freedom from indifference, attachment, and aversion. May you be peaceful and light, safe, free from accidents, free from anger, fear, and any of the other unwholesome mental states. May you be able to look at yourself with love and compassion. May you recognize and touch the suffering, touch the seeds of happiness and joy within yourself. May you learn to nourish yourself with joy each day. May you live fresh, solid, free. And may you be free from indifference, attachment, and aversion. Being aware of your belly expanding on every in-breath and falling on every out-breath. If you're finished with your mala, just hold on to the girl bead if you have one, or hold on to the lotus flower if you don't, or just stay where you are if you have no mala. Being aware of breath in and breath out. If you still haven't finished your garland, continue. Allow those mantras, those wishes, those intentions for those we have a challenging time loving to sit in our core. Noticing any resistance we had or have. Just accepting, being compassionate towards ourselves if we are still finding it difficult. Breathing in, feel the belly expand. Breathing out, feel the belly fall. And once you get to that girdle bead or back to the lotus flower, we're going to do 2 more intentional breaths. Belly expands on the inhale for a count of 4, quietly to ourselves. Noticing the natural pause and exhaling completely and fully for a count of 6. Moving our hands, if we haven't already, down to the lotus flower if we have a mala. Breathing in for a count of 4. Breathing out for a count of 6. Once again, connecting with the earth, feeling the soles of the feet on the floor, the sits bones on the chair. Just be reminded of where you are in time and space. When you're ready, you can wiggle your toes. Move your sits bones around on the chair, move your shoulders. Slowly, very slowly, lift your gaze or open your eyes, taking in the world around you once again. Thank you so much for joining in this loving kindness meditation, and not just for me, but for the entire planet, for all humans, all sentient beings. Thank you for taking the time to be more loving and more kind. May you be surrounded by loving kindness. Namaste.